Okay, so if you love the outdoors, you know the feeling. The sheer frustration of some mysterious bug bite. But there's one little critter out there whose itch is absolutely legendary, even though you almost never ever see it. Today, we're gonna demystify the chigger.
So, picture this. You just had an awesome day hiking, maybe you were out by the lake, and then, hours later, bam! These incredibly itchy red bumps start popping up out of nowhere. And the weirdest part? You never saw a thing, never felt a thing. If that sounds familiar, well, you are definitely not alone. Let's track down this invisible suspect.
So yeah, the culprit behind all this misery is, well, it's pretty much an invisible threat. But what exactly is a chigger anyway?
All right, here's the first big surprise for a lot of people. A chigger isn't really an adult insect at all. It's actually the baby, the larval stage of a mite from the Trombiculid family. And this is the crucial part. It's only in this tiny little baby stage that they're a problem for us humans.
And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. We're talking 1/150th of an inch. I mean, think about that. They're basically invisible to the naked eye. And that right there, that's the reason you feel that awful itch later, but you never ever feel the attack when it's happening.
So, where are these little biters hiding out? Well, just think of your classic outdoor scenery. They absolutely love tall weeds and grass, forests, berry patches, basically any moist ground near lakes or rivers. And of course, they're most active on warm afternoons, which, is exactly when we all want to be outside. Perfect, right?
Okay, so knowing what they are is one thing, but the way a chigger actually bites you, well, that's where things get really misunderstood. There is a huge, persistent myth about them, and honestly, it's time we separated the fact from the fiction.
Okay, so the myth you've probably heard is that chiggers burrow into your skin and lay eggs. Let me be clear. That is 100% false. No burrowing. The reality is actually, well, it's a bit more scientific and kind of gross. They attach to your skin, and then they inject these digestive enzymes that basically dissolve your skin cells. They're not biting and sucking blood. They're creating a little skin cell smoothie. And that's the stuff, that digestive fluid, that causes that horrible, relentless itch. The crazy thing is, you won't feel a thing when it first happens. It's totally painless. The real trouble starts a few hours later. And it begins with an itch that feels, it's almost impossible to satisfy. The bumps themselves can look like all sorts of things. Welts, blisters, pimples, even hives.
Chiggers are picky. They don't just bite anywhere. They tend to crawl around on your body until they hit some kind of barrier. And that's exactly why you see the bites clustered in places where your clothing is tight against your skin. Think about it. Your ankles, where your socks are, your waistline, your armpits, behind your knees. Once they can't go any further, they figure, well, this is a good spot to eat.
All right, so you've got these itchy red bumps. But are they chiggers, or maybe fleas, or just a regular mosquito? It can be tough to tell, so let's do a little side-by-side comparison. Because honestly, knowing what bit you is the first, most important step to getting some relief. So, mosquito bites, right? They're usually just scattered around on any skin that was exposed. Flea bites often show up in little lines or small clusters, usually on your lower legs. But the real giveaway for chiggers is the pattern. You're looking for a big, dense group of bites all clustered together, right where your clothes were tight. And if you look closely, the bumps are often hard, maybe even with a little scab in the middle. That's your chigger calling card right there.
Okay, so you've played detective, and you're pretty sure it's chiggers. Now for the most important part. How in the world do you stop this maddening itch? Let's talk relief. Let's get into the solutions. All right, immediate action plan. The very first thing you need to do, as soon as you suspect you've been exposed, is get in the shower. A really good scrub with soap and warm water will wash off any chiggers that might still be on your skin. And just as important, take off the clothes you were wearing and throw them straight into the washing machine with hot water. You gotta get rid of any of those little stragglers. Now, to deal with the itch that's already driving you up the wall, you've got a few great options. A simple cold compress can really help with the swelling right away. Then you can turn to some over-the-counter heroes, like a hydrocortisone cream or that good old pink calamine lotion. And listen, if the itching is just unbearable, taking an oral antihistamine can give you much more powerful, all-over relief. And here's probably the most important tip I can give you, and I know it's the hardest one to follow. Please, please, do not scratch. I know it's tempting, but when you break the skin, you're opening the door for a bacterial infection. And that can turn what was just a super annoying itch into a much, much more serious problem.
All right, so now we know how to treat the bites. But you know what's even better than treating them?
not getting them in the first place. Let's talk about your Chigger-proof plan, because with these guys, prevention is absolutely the best medicine.
A lot of this just comes down to being smart about where you're walking. You know, when you're on a trail, try to stay in the center. Avoid brushing up against all that dense vegetation on the sides. Just being a little more cautious when you're in tall grass or wooded areas can make a huge difference. Remember, they're just waiting there for someone to walk by.
Next up, create a fortress for your body. Seriously, wear long sleeves and long pants. And here's the pro tip. Tuck your pants into your socks or boots. Yeah, you might not win any fashion awards, but trust me, it is so effective at keeping them out. Also, using a good insect repellent on the openings of your clothes, like your cuffs, your waist, your collar, is a great idea. And, I'm going to say it again, shower as soon as you get home.
So look, if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. The best defense is a good offense. The absolute best way to deal with chigger bites is to never get them in the first place. Prevention really is the key to an itch-free outdoor adventure.
So please, don't let these tiny, invisible pests scare you away from being indoors. Now you're armed with all the knowledge you need to identify them, treat them, and, most importantly, prevent them. You can get back out there and enjoy the great outdoors with confidence. So the only question left is, where's your next adventure going to take you?